Naruto, 10 Ways Sasuke's Corruption Could Have Been Prevented. Sometimes, it's a combination of factors that can lead one down the path of darkness. Sasuke was the secondary protagonist of the Naruto series and a young man who was defined by his lust for vengeance. Just as the series follows Naruto's ascension in the eyes of others, it simultaneously mirrors Sasuke's slide into depravity and wickedness. At the culmination of his madness, he sought to murder the Kage, enslave the tailed beasts, and conquer the entire world. There were many ways to have prevented him from ever adopting such a radical perspective. Through identifying how the intrepid Uchiha might have stayed on a relatively noble path, we can better understand how his comrades failed him. 10. Sakura's clinginess constantly grated him. Sakura was an avid admirer of Sasuke and a girl willing to take drastic measures in order to procure his affection. This included abusing Naruto, destroying a lifelong friendship with Ino, and even offering to join him during the confrontation on the bridge after he'd already fallen away from Konoha. Sasuke seldom reciprocated this interest and was instead put off by her obsession. If she'd been less clingy and in his mind, weak, he would have been able to navigate Konoha undisturbed and have more of a desire to remain there. 9. He needed a mentor that wasn't Kakashi. When Sasuke showed insecurity about his powers, Kakashi volunteered to help him hone his Chidori and reach his potential. Together, they engaged in rigorous training before the Chunin exam's final rounds. However, Hatake was already the mentor for Team 7, so the time he allotted to Sasuke was more minimal and impersonal than what Jiraiya gave Naruto. Additionally, he only learned a single technique from him, whereas Orochimaru offered countless jutsu that would become invaluable in the future. If he had his own private sensei, he'd feel less insecure about Naruto surpassing him. 8. He would have felt more satisfied with his power if he beat Naruto in the Water Tower Challenge. When Naruto and Sasuke fought atop a hospital, their feud was interrupted by Kakashi. He sent both youth flying into water towers, decisively putting an end to the conflict or accidentally substituting it for a challenge. Although the damage Sasuke inflicted against his metal barrel was considerable, Naruto obliterated its entire backside. This understandably made the young Uchiha insecure about his current progress. If this exchange never happened, all parties involved would have been better for it. 7. If Itachi never attacked the village with Kisame, Sasuke wouldn't have felt his goals were beyond reach. When Itachi and Kisame infiltrated the Leaf in search of Naruto, Sasuke immediately became privy to their whereabouts and attempted to rush to his comrades in. Though he was interested in saving Uzumaki, he was more enamored with the prospect of finally having his revenge. Unfortunately, he was utterly humiliated by his older brother and put under a genjutsu to watch his parents murder a second time. This infuriated Sasuke and furthered the notion that the Leaf wasn't teaching him enough. If any other Akatsuki member replaced Itachi during the mission, it wouldn't have had such a severe psychological toll on the young hero. 6. Sasuke wouldn't have been bitten if the proctors studied the Chunin exam's contestants more closely. Sasuke gained a taste of true power after being bitten by Orochimaru and receiving his curse mark. Once he awoke from his injuries, he promptly decimated Dosu's entire team. If the Chunin exam's proctors probed their contestants more closely, the fallen Sannin never would have had an opportunity to entice his intended victim with the power to avenge his clan, thereby eliminating Sasuke's interest in pursuing alternative means of finding power. 5. Sasuke and Naruto needed to have more time to develop their relationship before the Chunin exam. Kinship is developed through struggle, creating bonds that aren't easily broken. Unfortunately, Naruto and Sasuke only had a single mission together in the Land of Waves before the latter's corruption had already begun. If Team 7 went on a few more quests before partaking in the Chunin exams as would be logical. Given its challenges and risks the test portended, Sasuke would have felt a stronger sense of loyalty toward the shinobi he fought alongside. 4. If Sasuke defeated Gaara, he would have felt he was progressing properly. The match between Gaara and Sasuke was interrupted when Orochimaru showed his hand and the attack on Konoha began. Although Gaara and the Sand siblings fled from the scene, Sasuke hunted them down and fought the Jinchuriki in Konoha's forests. Even with Sakura's aid, he was utterly dominated, forcing Naruto to intervene and save the day. If he was able to defeat the Sand ninja by himself, he wouldn't have felt weak and the subsequent compulsion to align with Orochimaru. 3. Sasuke needed someone to help him fight the Sound Four. The Sound Four were under orders to harm Sasuke but were explicitly instructed not to capture him. This was to exacerbate his already burgeoning feelings of insecurity regarding his strength and coax him into joining their master willingly. If anyone was there to assist the young Uchiha against his adversaries, he never would have suffered a humiliating defeat and would have likely felt supported by his comrades. Despite the intense commotion their battle caused, however, no one came to his aid. 2. Sasuke would have been easier to redeem if he returned to the village immediately after killing Itachi. After Sasuke's goal of killing Itachi had been met, he felt a veritable listlessness and was uncertain of what to do next. Obito was nearby to share the truth of the Uchiha genocide and who was responsible. If Sasuke simply refused to believe him, or returned to the Leaf and reasoned with 4th Hokage Tsunade about its heinous corruption, it would have been much easier to redeem him. His only crime at that point was attempting to abduct Killer Bee, a task that he failed. 1. Itachi should have told Sasuke about the Uchiha genocide from the beginning. Itachi didn't tell Sasuke about the true reason behind the Uchiha genocide because he wanted to use his emotional turmoil in order to help him evolve his Sharingan. Although he was successful in growing his younger brother's power even at the cost of his life, his plan to turn him into the Leaf's greatest defender comically backfired. If he'd been straightforward about his motives since the beginning, Itachi could have prevented Sasuke from having ever become the revenge-driven, spiteful young man who debuted in the series. At the very least, he wouldn't have felt betrayed and used by Konoha and his former comrades.